Aloha.
Aloha.
I'm Tanya.
And I'm Anna.
And we're the Paradise Patriots.
We're tired Paradise Patriots at the moment.
We are.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long week. Mentally and spiritually exhausting sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
A lot. There's just so much accelerating. Consciousness is accelerating too, so it's a good thing. I like that video from the opposition. What is his name? Brzezinski, that said, we're living in a politically awaked.
For the first time in history,
Right.
the masses are politically awakened.
Across the globe.
Across the globe. And he gave that in a speech to the Council on Foreign Relations.
It's hopeful if even they see it.
So even they see that we're awakening.
Right. And an establishment that's that top heavy can't really stop that from happening. So.
You can't stop evolution.
No. It doesn't matter what happens. We'll get there.
And the expansion of awareness, it creates, for me personally, it makes me realize how much extra downtime I need. You know, to swim, to relax, to bathe, integrate, to just have some time to sit by myself, not necessarily engaging in dialogue about what's happening, and to get out of my head, to totally just get out of my head about it.
I think for me, because the way spirituality is, I guess, perceived, and being involved in, the political scene and things that are going on, and you do have to be careful not to get lost in it, and you do have to be careful not to absorb the negativity. So yeah, the downtime is really a time to, because I can get lost in it. My mind just gets so absorbed by and trying to figure out how all of those pieces fit together.
And it's never ending. One thing leads to another, to another,
you wake up in the morning and it's, there's a whole nother level of things being uncovered. But what's really awesome about that is it's so, and that's where I really trust the universe. That's where I really trust the universe to bring it up, because things come out of places that you're just like, what? Wow, I would have never, ever thought in a million years that something like that would happen now, or someone would have brought that piece, or someone even knew that, right? Like the thing, and we'll talk about that, at a later point, the thing with Kim.com. It's just like came out of nowhere.
I didn't foresee that at all. I wasn't following him on Twitter. I didn't even know he was in.
Right, and then other pieces start to come together, so you just don't know how the universe is going to assist in reshaping,
in revealing,
right, and really getting this place the way it wants it, not the way we want it,
not the way we want it,
the way it wants to.
It'll be even better than what we want.
We could never imagine,
because we can't even imagine.
No,
it.
we can't.
I mean,
fathom.
that's how our personal lives are.
Right.
When good stuff happens, you couldn't have
put that together yourself.
Right. You couldn't have planned for that. And so
our minds can't comprehend, because our minds really can't comprehend how something, of that magnitude could happen, so we dismiss it. It's like, well, that can't happen because our minds are not capable of that level of expansion, but the universe can, and then you just have to be open enough to let that, to allow it. So
well, even today, just finding, or maybe that was yesterday, I don't even know what day it was, when we found Brzezinski's talking to the Council on Foreign Relations about the fact that all of these important people know that the masses globally are awakening politically.
Right. And when did he say that? That was
a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was.
Just only a couple of years ago, like maybe 2011.
Yeah, they're pretty slow to get that.
Yeah, but they know it.
Yeah, they do know.
And so, well, you would think they'd be smarter.
That's what I said. They're pretty slow.
You're right. But that just means that we have to stay politically engaged and wanting to know what's going on. But we also have to take care of ourselves, physically, spiritually, emotionally, so that we can keep doing that. Because the reason I think a lot of people aren't involved politically is it is nasty business. It is ugly. You do, a lot of people don't want to really know what's going on.
They don't, but I think, well, and I can only speak for myself, that when that part of myself, when I got, as developed as I can be in terms of being able to understand it and articulate it, and then have my own read on it, there's a real empowerment to it. And I have to go back to that thing of we really have to own our political body.
We do have to
We
own
really
our
have to
political
own it.
body.
It's if we don't have that, then you can meditate the rest of
It's
your
almost
life.
like the transpersonal part of us.
Yeah.
It is another whole entire piece of us.
Right.
That's another aspect of who we are
Right.
collectively
Mhm.
together,
Mhm.
and how we work together, how we share our resources, how we engage in relationship.
And this
with
is
everything.
it's a world of forms, so you can have all the freedom you want on your meditation mat, but if it's not happening
In the real world.
in the real world, then it's
Right.
pointless. And the whole point of having a human life is manifesting form. So and having the I guess the trust or the knowledge within yourself that you have the capacity to bring that about. That's, I think, really important for people individually, but for us as a collective too. This establishment looks like, a big scary, big shadowy kind of, you can't get away from it. It never leaves you. And I guess it doesn't in a sense, but you surely can overpower. You surely can have it serve your needs.
Like I loved it. I told you one day I woke up and had a short meditation, and it instantly just came to me that by Trump firing Comey was our shadow in charge, our executive shadow, fired our internal collective intelligence director, and for me it was like this analogy of us, it's an analogy of firing, or like we want to see things differently through a different filter. We want a different filter of intelligence of what's coming through. And to me, and I can only say this is just my own, because I know why things come to me sometimes and how it manifests for me in moving forward and in my continuous expansion. For me, that meant that Comey is of the shadow. He's clearly of the shadow. So I'm going to be very doubtful of things. I'm going to want proof of things that he says, because now I'm, not that I was really buying into everything before, but that for me was another, okay.
Yeah, and even Trump, I think, for the collective, Trump is really, and it just shows you how outdated the picture we were given of, a socially acceptable, successful male. That's what we were given, right? He has everything. He's rich. He's powerful. He's a world traveler. He's, he's
beautiful.
He's got it all. He's got a
family,
gorgeous
right.
wife, a gorgeous family.
Right.
He's just climbed this ladder of success, and
he's been knocked down.
Yeah,
he's gotten back
the art
up.
of the deal, and that whole, and he's a renegade, and he has that persona that socially we've been fed as a successful man. And now you look at it and you can just see how really dated that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, and so that my point being is, when you look at that from your own internal perspective, you can see how off that that social, the kind of male that every woman wanted, right?
On paper, he probably looks pretty good.
And every man wants to be that, and every woman wants to marry him. No, I'm serious.
I know. I get it.
And then all of the things that women do so that they can catch a man like that. They become trophy wife. It's just that whole system of, why are you... My point being is, he's your mirror.
He's all of our mirror.
Yeah, he's our mirror.
For sure.
Went from the bad boyfriend to the outdated guy. We really have to come up with our own. And that once we have that, then that will go away. Once we really have our true male energy and our true man and our true female, because I look at Hillary and I told you that you know, when I think of mythology, I think of her as the Baba Yaga, right? The teeth of steel that are pointed, and you have to No, I'm serious.
It's interesting for sure. It's an interesting archetype.
Yeah.
And
the cackling, you know, just the way she does all of that. It's just like, but
any archetype like that it's hard to be that person.
But when you look at the archetype, you can, I mean, I can see them in myself.
Absolutely.
I mean,
not at that scale. Yeah. Holy goodness. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because it's extreme, but, you know, I mean, and once you can ground that in your own perspective, you can ground that in, you know, looking at it as a segment of yourself, not the whole thing, but just so that they become dimensional. Dimensional in your mind. They're not, you know, you're not.
I wasn't sure if you were saying dimensional or, or like multi-dimensional.
Like they're this archetype, and there's something there. Obviously, it's a reflection of us as a collective, or they wouldn't be there.
Right.
We created that.
Right.
We created that over time, over our belief system, over our, you know, what we held as.
And as the divine feminine, we don't need to manifest and be like that in order to be successful and powerful and happy. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to look the way.
Right. You have to define that for yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you for clearing the path.
Of what we don't want. Yeah.
What we don't want.
We're rethinking that one.
Right. We're rethinking.
And you can still, you know, you still integrate aspects of that.
Absolutely.
Right. And then that, you know, that shifts, and it's really important in terms of compassion is once you own that, and then it takes the demonization off of that person. He's just a human being. He's a human being playing out. I believe that they're human beings, and they're playing out that role, and you know how to handle them. You know how to handle
the role that they decided.
I know how to handle the Baba Yaga
within myself.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I've been through that phase. I get it.
Right. I have moments still.
Yeah, I still do too. I just don't devour them anymore. No, I'm serious. I think that when and that, you know, that actually we're talking about it, that's really, it's dangerous to demonize anything or anyone. It's dangerous because that's another part of when you take someone's humanity away from them. It's dangerous because then that gives you license to do things that are inhumane.
Well, it definitely, then the compassion within you is gone for that person.
Yeah.
When you demonize someone else, and that changes who you are. So that's a personal alchemy that I don't want to engage in.
Right.
You know.
And the collective, it's not the direction the collective should be going in at at this time in our spiritual history.
Right. Yeah. Because we're awakening at a pretty fast pace.
And history should teach us what happens when you are herded into doing that. When you're herded into demonizing an individual or a group.
And because we do have to learn things multiple times, they'll say, you know, like if you don't learn your lesson with a partner, you're going to keep, you're going to keep bringing forth another partner and repeating till we get it. And can we say we've learned this lesson? Please.
I think so.
I think if things continue along the path they do, which is probably continued chaos and continuous, at least for a short time, right? We're going to learn.
Chaos is okay.
Keep learning.
Chaos is okay. Learning. It's better than falling in line.
Yeah, I think, in fact, when chaos comes from perceived order, which is what we were in under the Obama administration, was perceived order, not necessarily true order. And so when we start to see the chaos, that's when shit's changing. Shit's changing. You know, that's when it really...
And you know how that is when you go through something, because I think this is a really important point too. It's you go through a change, in the middle of the change, you're just angry at everybody. And you're just, you wish you wouldn't have done that, and you did that, and however that goes, and then you get to the end of it, and you've gone through your own transformation. And you get to that point when you see, you like what happened, you like where you are, you like...
You're sitting in your new apartment,
or whatever
happened. And
yeah,
you're like,
however your life, wherever your life goes, whether it's been simplified or it's been expanded in some way, and you thank everyone. And I think I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for this, but we should thank the people that put Trump in office. Because if that hadn't happened,
well, eventually we will be thinking.
yeah, I think the collective will go there eventually. We'll be grateful for that, for people who forced the change on us.
It's the universe 2x4.
Yeah, exactly. And the universe is moving it all anyway. You know, it's the inspiration for everything.
It's all for our collective evolution, you know. And so, while that
just slow
almost
as hell,
it doesn't seem that slow anymore.
Oh my God.
This year's been going pretty fast, but yes, it seems like that's a simplistic way of looking at it sometimes. That yes, people have to suffer in order for us to grow and transform, but I've learned the most through my hardest moments, and that's what we're learning right now as a nation. What do we really want? Who are we?
Well, and that you know, that's the other, I think, the fallacy of, and it's been my argument for a long time with spirituality is and we've talked about that, the over-identification with the light, and actually spirituality in action is for yourself, and this is where I have defined my own path, is that anytime you're going through expansion, which is continuous, you're really transforming the darkness. You're really transforming the shadow. And you're not your personal shadow because you have mastery of that. Doesn't mean it goes away, but it means that you are able to master your own energies, and when things come up that trigger you or whatever, you don't lose consciousness. But then you start to transmute the collective stuff.
Well, because to go back a second is what you said is it doesn't make the shadow go away, but it doesn't allow you don't let the shadow lead. Right, and right now we're letting our shadow lead. Before, under Obama, the shadow wasn't leading.
Well, the shadow wasn't visible.
But the shadow was still there.
Yeah, it was fully operating. Yeah.
And there was no light brought to it.
No.
Oh, very little anyway. And so...
And if Trump hadn't gotten in office, I think that would have stayed that way. It would have stayed that way.
Right. So we have to thank everybody, all the players.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Even Baba Yaga.
Even Baba Yaga. Even Baba Yaga. We got to thank them all. Yeah. It can only keep getting more interesting as we become more and more aligned with what's happening in terms of what's happening internally, which is, I just feel so motivated by, I hate to say it because it sounds so cheesy, I feel really motivated by the strength of love. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing these videos for everybody to watch. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, why would you bother doing this?
Well, and that's how you articulate it, and for myself, I feel like everything that I've ever done in my life, along spiritual practice and lots of searching and all of that really prepared me for this time.
Right.
I really feel that this is I call it, I think we're making spiritual history. That's what I call it. Your political history, but because it's brought all these elements of the human being together. And
I call it a convergence of being.
Yeah.
And it is the convergence of the political and the spiritual.
With the intellect and
with all of the
multiple selves really being activated and then being illuminated to bring in this next era. I really feel that way. And that to me is like, if you want to think about it as the dark and the light, but we're fighting not going another cycle of darkness. And that's where all the wrenches really are, no matter what it looks like. And the wrenches they have to come in a, I call it political, but it has to come in a really manifested energetic pushback, and not a passive,
right?
Not a passive sitting on a mat meditating for peace. It has to become engaged. We have to be engaged energetically,
right?
And have those energetic boundaries and push back energetically, and reclaim our space as human beings. Yeah. That, the world's never been there.
And because we have a reverence of life, that's where that comes from.
Exactly. Yes.
I can make jokes about, humans. But ultimately I love it. And I certainly love this earth. So, I don't necessarily want to keep coming back to this planet.
Oh, no.
It's not an easy lifetime. I do prefer the, just stay in the love. But it's not, there's no movement in that any longer, right? So you can sit in meditation and it's not as necessarily fulfilling in the same way. Whereas if I can hold that same essence and engage in this type of work, that feels really great.
Yeah, it's spirituality in action.
It's spirituality in action, right?
It's the only way this is going to shift. I mean, shift is even an inappropriate word.
This is what they were talking about with the ascension. Like, I didn't really understand what that meant, and it's an overused term. Yes. But that, just for the spiritual people out there, the New Age people out there, that's what it is. It requires your spirituality in action. Right.
And I guess if you want to put it that way, then even, in terms of consciousness, we're moving from the consciousness of density, 3D, to the consciousness of being awakened, 5D. So you can even, use those New Age words too in terms of what's really happening.
But it requires action. Engagement.
Engagement, yeah. On all levels.
And a lot of sleep.
Yeah. And it's a lot of discipline.
Talk about that. I hate that word.
I think it's a lot of discipline. You have to discipline yourself energetically. It's probably not anything that people can see so much, but just energetically, you have to continually keep yourself attuned. You have to stay in alignment with, with your own integrity, even when everything around you is telling you something else. You have to keep coming back to it, right? I'd rather be laying on the beach in an inner tube with a greenie.
It's a little late to go today. But
no, I know. I haven't been there in a while. But I just mean, but you can't leave it alone. You can't walk away from it.
Exactly.
Right? It's your spiritual, it's imprinted in us. So it's that discipline to stay committed to that and not get off track.
Right. To say no to the things that aren't
distractions.
Yeah, that are distractions.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Oh my God. So, it's a discipline. Right?
It's definitely a discipline and a worthwhile discipline. And I think after you do it for a while, it does become more who you are. And so you don't necessarily have to work at it so much, though I definitely have major lapses on a regular basis.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I do. But, well, for me, so someone else might say, no, you don't. Right. Right. But for me, because I always want to keep getting better. I'm hard on myself in that sense.
That's part of it, though. Right. I think that's part of it.
It is the discipline,
right?
I guess, and
to up your game.
Always up my game.
Yeah,
keep upping your game. Keep doing stuff you're not comfortable with.
That's part of it.
Keep learning.
Continue to expand.
Don't get in this thing where you're constantly doing the same thing. That's only going to take you so far because it's safe and it's easy and I love it.
And you got a formula and it just...
Right, and it works. And people love me for it or whatever it is. Right, you don't want to get stuck in that. Well, I'm going to do that because I know people can expect that from me and they like it and they're okay with it. The whole people liking me thing, it seems like I'm constantly doing stuff that might make more people not.
Make them uncomfortable.
Yeah. And myself uncomfortable sometimes too, but that for me is growing.
I think that's part of the discipline.
That is evolving.
Right.
That throws me into situations that I couldn't have expected and that's the situation that you learn in the fastest, hopefully.
And I think that is also what's expected and what's needed by the collective so they can keep moving. Because if you're doing that, then, or if we're doing that, if we're just offering them a formula because it's easy for us, then that expansion doesn't get handed down either.
Right.
So
You know, like, because there's like people who are like, they always meditate this many times a day, or this time every day, and they have a very routine discipline. This is why I don't like the word discipline, right? Because in the past, having a spiritual discipline meant there was a lot of rules, right, that you made up for yourself, and for me, it's more about jumping into these situations where I'm growing, and then I still have to have those experiences of discipline, but they're not routine.
Yeah, and I think that what you're talking about is one of the steps to spiritual maturity is that discipline, so that spirit can take root. So you have those, you have that kind of structure, and like anything, after it has its structure and its form, it's like, I want to get out of here, right? Then the soul wants to just go. It's like, okay, we're done with that.
Bye, Mom and Dad.
I'm in the driver's seat.
Right.
Well, that's pretty much
my own
what
car
it is.
now.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm in the driver's seat. I got your body. That's my vehicle.
Right.
Your mind. I got control of it, and let's go.
Right.
So then it's a whole different ballgame. And because I remember when I had that period when that happened, and it was like, oh my God, something's happening that I can't be on the mat for hours a day anymore, right. And then and everything had to be this sort of pristine environment for my soul. But right. So I think that's a part of it, and then it wants to go out there and make trouble. Let's go make some noise.
Get on my broomstick.
Yeah, exactly. Go make some noise. Go upset some stuff.
Right.
Yeah, let's start talking.
Let's stir the cauldron.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Because what's in the cauldron is crap. It doesn't taste so good.
Yeah.
So let's go grab some new veggies.
Yeah, get the sort of light out. Yeah, start cutting some stuff off.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad to be doing it with you.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm so happy to do it with you too. It's not every day there's a Tanya.
There's
not every lifetime, or several lifetimes there will be a Tanya around. So.
Or an Anna.
Yeah.
And we're glad to be doing it with all you guys too. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Anna.
And we're the Paradise Patriots.
We love you.
We love you.
Aloha.
Aloha.